Hey guys, for quite a while, we've been trying to get a trailer because we got projects and things and all kinds of things to do, and we need a trailer to get all of our junk, all of our supplies and stuff from the store to our house. So, what's the simplest solution? Go buy a trailer from Harbor Freight. So that's what we did today. So we got this really great trailer. Its capacity is like 1,720 pounds. You know, that's great and all. Came with these wonderful tires that are in a box as heavy as the trailer. And I was quite surprised at how small the box is the trailer actually came in. So you could fit this back in the back of your sedan if you wanted to, maybe. So we also got one of these, what do you call, reach ratchets. So it's a 3/8 drive, and you know we're gonna try it out, see how it works, because there's a couple things we're gonna modify on this, and this is gonna help us out a little bit. Sad thing about this is it's a 12 volt. It uses a 12 volt battery. So what we actually have to do is buy a new battery, because the only other Hercules tool I have is the Ultra Torque 1/2 inch drive impact. So, and it uses a 20 volt. So we got this new 12 volt 4 amp hour. It's nice and big. If you go hold this up to the other one, you're gonna be disappointed. And we got our title, which I know you guys want to see, but too bad. So we're just about to unbox this, and let's check it out. We're gonna put it together. We got some styrofoam in here, that's gonna make a mess. But from the looks of it, we got our nice trailer in here. Can you believe it's a trailer? Something I forgot to mention out, if you don't know, this is a folding trailer. So we're gonna store it in our garage, but not in a garage spot next to the car. So it folds in three. The half and half, so it's 8 feet. So it's 4 and 4, and then the tongue folds. So it's gonna be like 5 or 6 feet tall. This is our tires right here.
These gigantic tires.
What did you get?
They're only 4.
Yeah,
They were supposed to have been 5. They gave us the wrong ones. Uh-oh. Ours, is that what that one says?
No, so that's per tire, I think.
No. It's supposed to say something. They gave us the smaller tires. It's the wrong box.
It is the wrong box, isn't it? This is for the 40.5 by 48.
Alright, Harbor Freight.
This is why you don't go to Harbor Freight, I guess.
Wrong box. Now we gotta go drive 3 hours
3 hours.
to the Harbor Freight.
It's not quite 3 hours. We'll see what to do about that. All right, well, we're back, and what we decided is tomorrow we're going to go back up to Harbor Freight and tell them that they gave us the wrong box, and that we're going to get our right tires. Yeah, about that. And they better let us keep these, because I'm going to be upset when they don't give me whatever. So we're going to open up or unwrap all this, take it all out, start putting it together, and we'll deal with tires and leaf springs and all that tomorrow. All right, it's now the next day, and now we got the right box. This is for our 4x8 foldable trailer, 1,720 pounds. We found out, I don't know if we mentioned it, the other box was for the 4-foot trailer, so it had nothing in it that we needed. So they exchanged it for us, so now we can open this up, see what's inside. On a separate note, we got one of these trailer dollies. They're what, 50, 60 bucks. We thought we'd try it out, see if it's any good. And then while we were there, we were just shopping around and saw some of these hand trucks, and we're gonna do some work in the basement. And these hand trucks will be, or this hand truck will be real nice for carrying all of our wood and stuff around. So, and it's a 4-in-1. You zoom in right there, you can see all the different things it does. So now you can see, you got your hardware here. Obviously our tires, which have 5 lugs on them. You can see those, got 2 of them, because you need 2 to roll. We got our springs here, fenders, our hitch receiver. Probably our lights in this box, our nice damaged box here. Maybe our lights aren't cracked. We're thinking about getting some different lights because these look stupid and apparently they're gonna get ripped off, as says the internet. So we might show you that later in the video. These look like they go to the fenders. And then here's what you put like a 2x4 in. On the sides. We'll show you that in a little bit. I almost forgot to tell you, we got wheels too, these little casters. And we actually got these in place because these are not going to roll this heavy trailer around very well. So we got some of these casters, 4-inch ones. And they got little locks and all, who cares? So hopefully these will roll it a little better, a little easier. And it does have a little bit bigger diameter of a thread on there. So we're gonna have to modify that a little bit, but that'll be just fine. So we'll put these on later on in the video. So let's get all this unboxed and we'll show you putting it together. Alright, so we just got everything unboxed and all locked up. So we got our whole frame here, we got our actual parts. Only thing out here is our tires, which are over there. And then over here we got our later accessories, after accessories, whatever you want to call them. Over here we got those 2 bags and all these laid out. And then right here, these are the tools we're going to be using. So I showed you earlier, we got this Hercules 3/8 angle or 9, whatever you want to call it, side ratchet. So we're going to use that, and then we got deep and shallow 17 and 18 millimeter sockets. And then I like these wrenches; these are nice. They ratchet and pivot, and those are also 17 and 18 millimeter. So we're going to use all that stuff to put this together. So let's get right into it. So this came with an instruction book somewhere that we may or may not follow. So a little pro tip here is, so these little brackets, the other side of this, you want to put that on before you put your bolts on for the middle beam, what do you call it, cross member thing. So these two bolts here, you're gonna want to put those in before that, because if you do these first, you're not gonna be able to get anything in there to tighten this up. So we actually we used our wrench here, and it maxes apparently at 40 foot-pounds or something, which too loose for my liking. So we tightened it up a little bit by hand. So we got these two, and then on that side we did the same thing in. And now we're going to put our cross member in here and complete finishing our putting our bolts in, and then the nuts on. And it's going to be a little more difficult now that that other bolt is right where you need to tighten that. I don't know if they thought that one too well through, but once you get all those in, you should be looking just like this right here, and then you can tighten them all up. So we got a square here, and we're gonna try and make this as square as possible. So you can see here, it's looking pretty square right now. So now we're gonna tighten this up when it's square, and so should you. So on the back, as to be expected, is just about like just as good as the front. So like we had the issue here where there's interference between those two, and you couldn't fit nothing in there. We had the same issue on the back here in the same place with this one and these. So I don't know if we told you already, but we are using a shallow socket on the impact wrench thing, and because with this big thing it won't fit up in there. The normal ratchet does work just fine with a shallow socket or a normal, not non-shallow socket. So these work just fine, but if you're going to use this, you might want to need a shallow socket. On a separate note, in the instructions it says don't put a bottom bolt from the bottom here in either of these front two holes, which I saw. I did not see that there's not supposed to be one in the middle cross member either. So we're going to take those two out. So that's just a point of reference. Here and here, you're not going to have a bottom bolt. Yeah. All right, we're back. So we got these mounted, and in the instructions it tells you to flip over. But if you have the possibility of folding, why not just fold it, right? So we folded it over, this on top of the bottom here, the bottom back half, and then we put these brackets on, which face inward, both sides. And then we got the tongue kind of put together. So we, once again, did not follow directions. And so we just flipped it over like that. Folded, and we got these two bolts in for these, and then we got some of these in just very loose. So you probably want this pretty square, because this is actually what goes to your car. So we put our T-square in here, and you can see right there we put it against that part of the trailer, and then is we're squaring it to this the straight line of this. So hopefully that right there will be pretty square. So now we're going to tighten these up. They're just loose. So we're going to tighten these up, and it will be nice and square for when we put this thing on. All right, so we've gotten several more things done here. One being the leaf springs are now on. They're not tight yet, but they're on. So we put a little bit of grease. You can't really see it because it's already on there. But we put a little grease in here because it looks like this is going to be moving back and forth as the spring compresses and all that. So We put a little grease there. Hopefully that will save a little of that metal on metal reaction. And then we've got these on, which hold the casters in these two holes. Got those in. So here's our wheels that we got to replace the ones that came with. So you can see they just about fit. We just need to make that hole drill it out just a little bit more, and then we'll be able to put our nice rolling wheels in. So our next step, I think that's all you guys missed. So our next step is going to be putting our axle in. We're gonna skip the fenders for now because their trailer's upside down. They're gonna be in the way. So we're gonna put the axle on right now. We got our U-bolts and stuff over here. So let's put those on, or that on. Since this video is mainly about the modifications we did to the trailer, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit in the build to show you those modifications. Alright, so we're back working on the trailer here, and today we're going to be putting our new aftermarket brake lights on. So it originally came with these brake lights right here, which go somewhere on the side, I think right there, but we're not going to do that because they're going to break off. So we got these off Amazon. You can see these two boxes here. If you want, we'll leave a link in the description of those, because these were the shortest ones we could find. They're like 6 inches. All the others were like 7 or 8 or whatever, and they wouldn't fit between this area with these here. So these are gonna go right there, and then we got a middle one, which is gonna go right there, and that one right there, with these being there. So that's our plan for the lights. We're about to drill our holes for that, cut them out. This is our license plate. So we're thinking about either putting it like here or having it down here where it can like hinge. So we're still figuring that out, but that we don't want it on this cheap plastic bracket they gave us, because it's plastic. Who wants that? It's gonna break off. So we're gonna figure that out as well. So we're gonna start drilling our holes, and then we'll get to the license plate later. So we just got this side on. So we drilled our holes out and just mounted it in. We got our wires on the opposite side. So you just drill these 3 holes, and there's a little template it came with over there to help you out draw your old holes, since they're 3.94 inches apart. So we just got our holes marked and punched. So now we're going to use our pilot bit here with a little lube. Now we're gonna move up to our next size bit. And now we're gonna drill out the middle hole a little bigger so that our wires will fit through. And now we're gonna use our bigger size to deburr it. So now we got our 3 holes drilled. So that now we can put the slide in. Alright, so we got our 2 lights mounted. we got our third one to mount. I'm just gonna go right in the middle. On this one, we should also have 3 holes to drill out. 1 for the wires, 2 for the bolts. And we're gonna put it right there. So we got all 3 of our tail lights here, all drilled in and tight, all leveled and all. So now our next step is the wiring. So we got this loom here so that we could protect the wires while they go back to the back of the trailer. So we got the wire all the way through the loom. We're about to run it through, and then we got what we want to do is actually run a continuous ground wire all the way to each light, because we're not real sure how you could get, because a lot of this stuff isn't real grounded, because especially like right here, that bolt's not going through the paint, so you're not really getting a good ground to those back lights through this folding trailer with this paint on it. So we're running a continuous ground wire to each light. So we're gonna get this wire in, and we'll update you guys in just a little bit. So we got these lights in up here. They're just temporary. We're gonna replace these with some better looking ones later on. So we left a little slack right here for when this pivots here. And we got some of these little connectors on here. And then on this side, we got some of those connectors. That light. And it goes up here, right here. We soldered it together here. It falls up here. We got a little more slack. We're not really planning on pivoting it or rotating it from here, but just in the case we do, we got a little slack in there. And then up here, we got our lights wired in, but we got some complicated systems because we got these special lights. So initially, this came with one of those 5-pin connector, 4-pin, whatever. Looks like that. But these lights we got have like 7.
Yeah, so let me go into a little detail here. We got these cool lights, or at least I thought they were going to be cool. And so these particular lights have a reversing portion, so when you turn the reverse lights on, they show up. They have a dedicated blinker portion, the running lights, and then the brake lights. The problem is, we learned, you need like the 7-pin connection to make all that work. Since we have the 4-wire, they use the running light and the brake light and the turn signal all in one. So having said that, this middle light, if we were to use with the brake light, would actually turn on with the turn signal. So then it becomes, do you want the left or the right? And neither one makes sense because you need both. But then the light would blink. Well, it wouldn't even work, because if you were to tie them together, both blinkers would always come on. So we had this great idea that we were going to use a couple of diodes. So if you know how a diode works, they act like a brick wall. So we hooked them up kind of like this with 2 diodes. So we had the right side come in and the left side come in, and then we put our fancy tail light in the middle so that it would either one, you know, your left or right turn signal would come on, and it would blink this middle light, as well as make the appropriate light come on over here. But then that's a little confusing, because then this blinks for your left and the right. So we said, since we have these diodes, we can put a capacitor in there to stay on momentarily while we are doing the turn signal. So we tried this out, and this will be our first attempt. And so it looks like we're going to do a little test here. So let's turn on one of the turn signals and let's see what happens. Okay, so if you see the middle light, it stays on when the turn signal turns off. Just a little bit longer. So that's it. And then so it would happen for the other wire as well if we were to be able to do the other turn signal. And this is temporary. We have full plans to take apart the wiring harness on the car and figure out and hook this up with the 7-wire system so that we can use everything. But you can see it works like a champ. The light comes on for both turn signals and stays on, and then if you hit the brake lights, it'll just stay on. And so I guess if we'd use these cheap lights, we wouldn't really have an issue. But if anybody's ever used these things, they know they're junk. That as soon as you come over here and kick them, they are not going to work. They're going to fall off. They're going to break. They're plastic. They're cheap plastic. They're going to get brittle. There's just nothing good to say about them if you've ever had a trailer for any length of time. We plan to protect these with some kind of a piece over them. So we feel pretty good with these, but it's gotten kind of complicated on us. So we'll let you know how this turns out, if this actually works or not when we hook it up to the car. All right, so we're back. We have the trailer. It's hooked up to the back of the vehicle here. So we hooked it up with the lights. So we're going to do our maiden voyage, see if any of our wiring actually worked. All right, here we go. Let's try brake lights and see if they come on. Hey, look at there. Okay, that works. You can see the little one fades. Oh, look at the turn signal. So we got left turn signal, right turn signal, brake lights. There you go. So you can see all that. Let's see, turn the headlights on and see what we got. There we go. So we have headlights. So looks like it all works. So there we go. A little bit complicated, but we're gonna fix this with the 7-wire system very, very soon so that we have the reverse lights, the actual turn signals, because these have a cool yellow thing that comes on and actually goes side to side with the turn signal. So look forward to seeing that in the future.
All right, so we're working back here on the trailer, and we're working on our bed that we're building. So we got this top piece, just 4x8 sheet of 15-30 seconds, I think. So we got this, and then we cut it down from 48 inches to 45, so it fits in between the 2 C channel type things there. So it's right on the inside. It's pretty warped right now, but once we bolt it down, it's gonna be nice and flat. And then we got these right here, 1x6s, or there, I think they're actually like 1 1/4 by 6 inches, and they're 10 feet long. So we're gonna put those right on top here and keep them about maybe 9 feet. We haven't thought about it yet, but we're gonna build a little frame up top here, like a ½ foot to a foot maybe, to keep it to make it a little longer than 8 feet. And yeah, so we got those to go up top to mount on top of, and we got like 9 of them, I think, 9 of them to go across here. And we're also gonna hang over just a little bit on top of this, and slightly off, maybe not, we'll see, we'll just show you guys later. But we'll show you what the next step is, but we were just showing you that we got this piece on. All right, so we were just putting a couple screws in this right here. We were putting about 5, or we were putting 5 across, and that one, and that one, those 3 metal cross members. So our original thought was to go to Home Depot and get some of these galvanized carriage bolts, and we got washers, lock washers, and nuts to go with all of them. And by the time that you got these dollar things, these things are $1.98, I think 98 cents a piece, plus all of these, it was going to cost over $100 just for those, plus all the wood. It would cost, all that stuff would cost more than the trailer. So after spending 20 minutes grabbing all these and getting them all in bags, we found these screws, which are wood to metal, and they're also self-tapping, and so they're gonna be good for going through the metal and the wood. And these are $12 a piece. The box is $12, and there's 100 in there. So we decided to use these instead of spending $100 in bolts. And these are also they're meant to go outside somewhere, it says. So we put some of those in, and I think it's going to do the job just as well as all those carriage bolts. So we clamped it down so we get a nice, because the piece was warped, so we got these in with the clamp down. And now we got 6 of these. We're going to use a couple of them, like one here, maybe a couple up there. And there's already holes drilled out in the trailer, like those right there. These should fit through. So we're gonna use like 5, 6 of those. And yeah, we'll show you what we do next. All right, so we got 2 bolts in. We just did 2. Why not? It's not going anywhere. So we got 2 of those. We did a couple more screws. So 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 19, like 23 screws. That'll be nice and strong. And then we're gonna do all of our top pieces, which will also probably go through the middle. So yeah, that's not going anywhere. So next step is gonna be putting our other pieces on top, and then whatever else we do, we'll show you in a minute. All right, so we got our top pieces here on, half of them anyway, and we decided on doing them 109.5 inches. So we got them clamped down back here, and back here we got our line. We're just gonna do 5 of them, and then do the other 4. And my audio just cut out, so you're stuck with me now. So as I was saying, we got 5 of these here. We're gonna cut across on this line with our skill saw, and then we're gonna do the other 4, and we're gonna put them all across. So I don't know what I'm saying here, but we're gonna do this cut right here. So we just got all 9 of these cut right here, and we got this 2x4 up front that I'll talk about in a minute. And we got it clamped down here, and we put these little scraps from that we just cut off on the side. You can see I'm pointing at them right now. These little scraps, they work really good for the sides, and we're gonna put them on where we're putting stake holders, because they're the right width to hold it off of the trailer, the metal of the trailer. So here's this 2x4 I was talking about that we're putting on the front. So all that weight, if we stand on like the front foot that doesn't have any metal underneath, this 2x4 is gonna distribute that weight to down to the tongue. So where you can actually put stuff up there and stand up there. So what I'm pointing at right there is an old notch we're gonna have to notch out. So right here, that little mark is the distance that we're gonna have to go down with that notch. So we're just about to notch that out, and I don't know what else I'm talking about, but we'll catch you up in just a minute. All right, so we're just about to screw in our 5 1/4 by 6s right here, and So I think what I'm showing you right here is, yeah, we got these washers that we're having to put on the ends here, just because you saw earlier that that plywood we put down is just a little thicker than oh yeah, you can see it right there. And then we got those hex bolts right there. So these washers are just gonna hold the wood up so that it doesn't warp or whatever. And I think I'm showing you we were gonna put a 2x4 on the back too to protect those lights. We ended up not doing that, but maybe we might. And you can see those scraps I was talking about a little earlier on the side where we're gonna put those. Here's the screws we got. I forget how long they are, but they worked really well for holding the wood into the metal, and that they were a lot cheaper than the alternative of using bolts and spending hours trying to find and drill all the holes out to use the bolts and then wrenches and all. We just zipped all these in with our drill, and it's been a couple weeks since I filmed this, and it's still holding together really well. So, and here I'm showing you how we used these old clamp things. They're my great grandfather's, and they actually work really well for holding all the pieces of wood, because we got them from Home Depot, right? So they're all warped and all that. So they hold them nice and kind of square to each other, at least enough to be able to screw them in and all that. And there, my camera just glitched again. I can't tell you how many times my GoPro just stopped working in the middle of filming. I don't know if it's just me, but GoPros, they don't work for me very well. But I'm just pointing at these a little bit. I'm not sure if we have the clip yet, but we did a little notch on this first 1 1/4 by 6 right there. Yeah, I'm showing it to you right now. So we did a little notch right there because the bracket, which technically we could have taken off, but then we would have had to make a new bracket, and it would have taken a long time. So this is a lot easier just to make that little notch. Pretty sure we just drilled drilled a hole and used a jigsaw, and it worked really well. So you can see on that side what it looked like, and we just cut it out, did that, and maybe it doesn't look all that great, but we didn't want to have to get metal and make a new bracket and all that, and it's just a lot easier. So, and then we did that on this side. We're going to do that on the other side, and I believe my audio comes back in just a second, but it sounds like I'm underwater. So have fun with that. Just comment underwater down below if you agree. It's been a while, but I wanted to give you a little update on what we've been doing. So, I'm not sure how much we filmed putting these on, but I think we showed you that first one, how we notched it out right there. We did the same on this side, and we got, let's see, we're going to put 2, 4, 6, 8 screws in each, and then 2 up front. That's just going into the wood. And these are all wood metal screws. So we put all those in. There's a couple screws we haven't done yet. We had to get one more box. But so we got all these on. It's 9 exacto. So if you want to do this, these are just the 5 1/4 by 6s, or 1 1/4 by 6s. Right in between here, and right in between the fender brackets, it fits, and you just overhang just a little bit, and you can actually use the excess from the front, on the sides, for your old stick things. So, we got these on, we overhung just a little bit on the back. Up front, we overhung just a little bit. I think we made it like 122 inches maybe. And then we got this piece up here, this 2x4, notched it out for these tongue metal pieces. And you might see this I'm wondering what are we doing with this? So someone had a brilliant idea to use a winch because we're storing this in our garage and we can't fold it in half. So to store it upright, someone wanted to use a winch. So this is where we're going to hook the winch hook, and then it's going to lift this up against the wall wherever we put it. We'll show you that later. We got some plans on that. So we'll show you that in just a little bit. And we just want to show you an update on this right here, what we've done so far. So our next step is actually going to be putting some sides on this. We got some more of what we used on the floor to go on the sides. And then here's a demonstration of what we're putting on the back. So we bent these two little metal pieces. This one's going to be right there. And we got a, what's that, 2x8 maybe? And we're going to put it against the back. So this is technically like 12 inches or whatever. But ours is going to be 8. And yeah, so it's basically going to look like that, but a little shorter. And hopefully it might be pretty close to the height we're going to do these sides. So we're about to put the little stake holders back on, cut some 2x4s to go in there, and then we'll put our other pieces across. We'll show you in a minute. So we had these scraps from the front here that we cut off the front. So we used 4 of them and made these. So these are perfect size to go right here. It's flush, and you put that right there. It's gonna work real good. Then we got all of our washers and nuts and bolts. So we're about to put all this together, drill holes out, put these on, and you'll see what it looks like in just a minute. So we got these put in. 2 on each side. The front's a little different because we're just running them right to the 2x4. 2 more on this side. Well, here's a demonstration of a 2x4 going in it. Too bad, a little too small. And in the back, we don't need any because we have this. So yeah, so we got these in. Now we're going to start on our sides that we're going to have. So here's our 2x10, or 2x whatever, it's 10 feet. 1 1/4 by 6, we're gonna go with that. Yeah, so we got our 2x4s, we're gonna go straight down vertically. And then this, which is gonna go horizontally. Just like that. And we're gonna notch them. It'll be easier to show you in a minute, but we're gonna notch it out right here so that they're recessed into the wood. Let's see, yeah, so they're gonna be recessed in the wood so that we still have our, that we didn't extend this past 48 inches for nothing. Because if we put these back, you basically have your 48 inches back, and we want a little extra space for wiggle room for 4x8 sheets of materials. So yeah, so we're finding how tall we're gonna make our sides. We're thinking about, what is it, yeah, 11 above. So because these are 5.5 real inches, so we could make the bottom 5.5 real inches as well. And yeah, that would be 11 inches. So we'll show you what we figure out, and we'll put one on and show you. So check this out. We got one of these AC powered winches, so it can plug into the wall. We mounted that to the ceiling real strong through the rafters up in the attic. So we got our winch going up from there, and then you saw that hook on the front. We hooked this onto it, and what we just did was we built this. Hopefully it works. So this is basically going to keep the trailer. That looks good. So when it pivots, since it won't be on the tires yet, this will keep it from rolling back and hitting the wall / the winch. So let's see how well this works. Okay, so we're rolling this in place here. So we're gonna see how well this works. We did have to back this car up just a little bit, but you are keeping your trailer in the garage, so I think that's a small task. So we just got that hooked on there. Getting it nice and cornered into the whatever, the center, the corner. So I'm gonna set you up here. Cords in the way. Get on that side, I think. So you can see up there our little rig, how it's working. You can see down here how our little notches are holding it. Sit hitting the ceiling.
No.
Look at that perfect. We definitely measured that out and definitely didn't get really lucky, but that's millimeters away from the ceiling. Exact. Look how sturdy that is. That's pretty cool right there. And with this little rig down here, taking this down will be hassle-free. We'll show you that next time we take it down. All right, so now we're about to take this trailer down, lower it down with our winch, and see how well it works. So you can see our bracket back here, how it's holding it. Now it's on its own weight. go. That's a good point. Yep, so you could probably do this as one person with lowering it. You just have to, you know, let off the winch for a little bit to unhook or hook the tongue up. But you could definitely do this by yourself with this winch setup. So we're just clipping our little pins in here. And now we're about to work on our sides. So last time we got all these stake holders in. So today we're just gonna put our sides on. We're gonna just go over here to the open garage spot. So our handy dandy trailer dolly, whatever you want to call it. So we just got this left side on here. So basically what we did was we cut some 2x4s this height right here, and then we notched them out. Hopefully you can see that. We did a little notch and put these boards in that notch like that. And we haven't screwed these together yet because we're gonna fit the other two sides first, so that hopefully it will all look good and we can make sure it does before we take these clamps off and screw them together. So we're about to do the front. We just got some measurements, so we're about to go cut the 2x4s out, and then we'll cut the top board out. And yeah. That's how we were figuring out our height. Once it was level, we were getting a measurement from the top of this 2x6 down to where we're gonna have the 2x4 end down there. So we just notched this piece out right here. And now we're about to notch this one out. So we'll show you how we're doing that. So this is one of the scraps from the piece that we're putting on the sides. So we're using it to mark that. And then we've already gotten this depth from doing the others. It's 3/4 of an inch about what we're going to do. And then so how we're doing this part is just putting it in our vise, and we're taking the skill saw and just going across this 75 times, you know. So I'll even give you a little time lapse. So now we just got this filed up after we did all of our cuts, and you can see they actually did a pretty good job. So now we're going to take this upstairs and try it out. But first, so since it's a Harbor Freight trailer made in China, and it's not very accurate, the stakes are a little not too accurate, so you have to follow them down just a little bit so that they'll fit inside the stake holders. We'll show you that in just a minute, but we're having to file just a little bit off these corners so that they'll fit in the things. Another pro tip is you might want to bolt your vise down to your workbench. That'll probably be a video on the other channel that you guys don't know about. maybe we'll tell you about that. All right, so you just saw us cut these out, or at least one of them. So we got them in place, and we got our piece up here. We got our level up here, telling us what we want to hear. That's level, look at that, that's pretty cool. Over there, nice and flush and level. We're about to make this side so that it'll be level. And this is what we were talking about earlier. You can see a little bit right here. We had to file on this just a little bit because these Chinese stakeholders, whatever you want to call them, they're just a little they're not 2x4 size. You have to cut off like what, 1/16 something maybe, just tiny bit. You could probably stick it in there. It's mainly when you bolt it in. If it's out, you can stick one in there, but when it's bolted in, it presses it together just a little bit, so you're gonna want to file on it. So we just got the side, this side cut over here. Got these in. We got our level here, nice and level. Nice and level here too. So, yeah. Now that we got all these on, we're going to figure out how we're going to mount these with screws and whatnot. And then once we do all that, we got to mount these brackets somehow onto these for our tailgate piece. So we'll show you in a little bit what goes on there. But yeah, so let's get these screwed together. All right, so we got all our screws in, holding our sides in to the trailer. We're adding a couple of these little 2x4s here because since we're lifting up with the winch, this 2x4, we wanted a little more straight. It to be connected to the metal of the trailer, so that the stress can be distributed. So we put those two in. We're just about to pick the trailer up so we can fold the tongue back so we can get into there to screw these in. But yeah, next we're going to be putting our back on. We'll show you what we figure out with that in just a couple minutes. Okay, so it's been like 2 months, and I just wanted to get this video out because it's been long enough. So leave down in the comments your suggestions for how we could build a tailgate for this, because we have a couple ideas, but we haven't done any of them. So if you got any ideas, leave it down below in the comments. We have used the trailer like 5 times, but in the next video we're going to be showing you how we modified the tires. So we put bigger tires on the trailer, like regular size tires, not those rinky-dink things that came with it. And in order to do that, we had to put a lift and spacers on the trailer. So you're going to want to watch the next video for all that and how to make your trailer just as heavy duty as anyone else's. But for this video, that's all we're going to do. We pretty much built the whole thing and modified some of it with our floor, our sides, and our taillights and all that. But in the next video, we're going to be doing the rest of it and making it just as good as any other trailer. So thanks for watching, and make sure you stay tuned for more videos on this trailer and on future projects.